Welcome everyone to the 5th section of the Tower of Spirits, where we will unlock the final regional area of the game. These floors are filled with a new type of enemy, the Wrecker Phantom. When they see you, they'll roll towards you, bonking off walls and stuff, but they travel very quickly and can smash through things that regular phantoms can't. Initially, this makes them deadly in long hallways, like the ones in this room. Yay! Now first of all, let's give us some more maneuverability by breaking these cracked blocks. Now because the phantoms will come and investigate sound, I recommend you do this quickly as possible by tossing down a bomb, then after a few moments toss down a second one nearby. This way, when the first one blows up, you can then quickly pick up the second one and then place it. Meanwhile, then you can go run off and go attack something else, so that if they do come and investigate, they don't see you. But it's important to clear out these hallways because if the phantoms do investigate or they chase after you, this way you can actually run around and avoid them. You want to circle around the area destroying all of the cracked blocks. In order to access the stairs, we're going to need a small key. Now to make the chest appear though, you're going to need to step on a switch in the top left corner of the room. In the safe zone, you need to pull these blocks out of the way so that we can get by. At the end, step on the switch and then work your way to the right side of the room. Also on the right side of the room is the first tier of light in the bottom right corner. Be sure you destroyed all of the nearby cracked blocks before you make a run for it so that you can escape if the Wrecker Phantom comes after you. Now here I was expecting it to investigate the explosion, but apparently I was far enough away that it didn't hear. Alright, so all that's left to do is get these small keys so that we can move forward. There are other treasure chests in this room, but we can't access them just yet. On this floor, quickly run to the top right and go up the ramp, then grab the arrow orb and take it back to the far left side of the room to solve the puzzle there. Tricky thing about this puzzle is that we have to turn the orb inside the room on the left, but you can't step off the switch or else the door will close. You need to use the boomerang to change the direction of the orb inside the room, and then use the boomerang to hit the orb below you until they're facing the correct directions. Then shoot them with an arrow. The Wrecker Phantom that appears here will chase you down if you don't move quick enough, and this could potentially be used to your advantage though by luring it into hitting the cracked blocks in the hallway. However, because it moves faster than you do and there's not much room to move around, I think this is kind of risky and you're probably better off just using bombs to collect the tier of light and access the stairs. Alright, complicated puzzle time. Let's look at the various aspects of this and see if we can figure out how to solve it. Our end goal is obviously to hit this eye switch. There is a door blocking the way though, so we'll have to figure out how to do that. Follow the path backwards, leads to an arrow orb, which is obviously shot by this arrow orb. There is a path of blocks in the way, and then there's this symbol up here where another arrow orb would ideally go. Floor switch, which lowers the door. There's a block that we can push to do something with. And to the south, the final aspect of the puzzle is another arrow orb that we can place. Now to get it down, you can blow it up with bombs, but that would take a ton of them, and it's also very time-consuming, and will likely draw the Phantom over to investigate. Instead, you're probably better off tricking the Phantom into doing the dirty work for us. Just keep your distance and move away shortly before it reaches you. As long as you're continually strafing side to side, you should be fine, although in general I recommend you take like a lengthy path to lure the phantom in that direction rather than standing close to the walls, because it will just immediately start rolling over to you again. Because this middle tower of blocks will block the arrows from shooting through the middle, we'll need to take care of those too. Use the phantom to destroy it. Alright, so one step closer. Next you want to drag this movable block over to the place in between those two platforms so that we can jump between them. Once that's placed, you want to go grab the arrow orb and then bring it back to the north. Jump across to the top middle platform using the block we placed a moment ago, and place the orb on the symbol on the floor. So if you follow the orbs now, you'll see that everything is good up until this point. You want to stand on the nearby platform and use the boomerang to rotate the orb until it's pointing north. Finally, go step on the floor switch in the top right corner of the area to lower the barrier in front of the eye switch. Then shoot the arrow orbs to solve the puzzle. So if you've been following along, you should have all three tiers of light at this point. You can use them to capture the Phantom on any of these three floors. With the Record Phantom, Zelda will be able to plow through blocks and stun other Phantoms, which is pretty awesome. You want to go back down the stairs where we can use her to reach new areas. If you like, you can play around with Zelda destroying the cracked blocks here, but it doesn't really matter. More importantly though, you can use her to kill enemies quickly and even stun other Phantoms. This is great because if they start chasing you, you can use her to defend yourself. Just simply draw a path from her towards the Phantom, and even if they're crazy and there's tons of them all over the place, she will stun all of them, and you can just simply sneak up behind them and stab them in the back so that you can have her switch bodies with them to reduce the total number of Phantoms in the room. When drawing paths for her to roll through, I found that it's better to give her short paths because she tends to go all crazy. She bounces off everything in sight and sometimes going places you didn't intend her to go at all. The Record Phantoms in general are the hardest type to control out of all the different ones, so just try to keep your paths short so that if she does go all crazy and goes all over the place, at least you can grab her and get her going the right way. Nice. So there's two optional puzzles here, but we can only solve one of them at the moment, so I will actually be skipping this for now, but I will be coming back here later to do both of them at the same time. I'm going to go down the stairs on the left, and we have a massive block-pushing puzzle here in the center of the room. So now that we have Zelda with us, we can use her to push and pull bigger blocks. Now first of all, let's give us some more working room to make this shortcut to the rest of the room. I'm going to pull this northern block back one, and then circle around and have Zelda push it up. This gets it completely out of the way so that we can move through here easily, but we also now have space to pull this other block in there. At this point, you can continue solving this puzzle in the middle, but real quick, let's go get some treasure. Take Zelda out into the previous area, and at the bottom left corner of the map there is a treasure chest that we couldn't access before. Have her pull back this giant block, then circle around with Link and open the chest. To make this easier, you can have Zelda possess one of the other Phantoms out here, so that you have one less to deal with. Once you get back to the middle, have Zelda move the big blocks here in the bottom right corner so that you can access the switch. You should have more than enough room to push the smaller block into place without having to move those big blocks a second time. These two switches in the top left corner can be held down by one of the bigger blocks. This is good because we have a very limited supply of these smaller blocks. Get the smaller one out of the way, then have Zelda steadily push and pull the big block to get it to the top left corner. Meanwhile, you can have Link pushing one of these smaller blocks to the south. Once you're done there, you want to have Zelda join you in the southwest corner and use her to pull back this big block to get it out of the way, then have Link push the smaller block onto the switch. Alternatively, you could have Link push it and pull it, the small block, through the narrow passage on the left, but that requires quite a few more steps. Finally, push the remaining small block all the way to the top right corner where there are two switches. We can't get a big block back here, obviously, but we can press down one switch. The remaining switch can be held down by Zelda. You only need to have them pressed down temporarily anyway, and we need Link free to go open the chest. There are some slight variations on how you could have solved all of these, such as having Zelda stand on a different switch or getting to the bottom right corner pressed down by moving the blocks in a slightly different way, but this is the quickest and easiest way that I found to solve all these. The chest we unlocked contains a small key that can be used one floor up. We want to go gather our armored companion and then go up the stairs in the middle. There's still those two treasure chests on this floor that I mentioned earlier, but we can't get to them just yet. You want to open the locked door and go up the stairs. So even though Zelda just told us that we can't ride on her shield, oddly enough, you actually can jump on Zelda's shield with this type of phantom, but as soon as you draw a path with her, she'll just roll every time, which makes you fall off. Kind of weird, since when she's following you, she walks, but when you draw a path, she rolls. I think it would have made more sense if she just, with this type of phantom, she just rolls all the time, maybe didn't even have a sword and shield, but instead just looked bulkier, maybe big fists or something, I don't know. But I can understand the increased development time that would have taken for something so nitpicky. It's honestly not that important, but oh well. Follow the only path which leads to the far south, where you'll find some stairs leading up a floor. In this room, I recommend against the urge to destroy the blocks, and you'll soon discover why here in a moment. This first part is pretty easy with our giant quiver especially. These Stalfos can be defeated in just a few quick shots. Just be ready to either dodge or block their bones if they toss them at you. These Geozards are pretty easy now that we can take away their shield with our whip. However, having several of them come at us at once is troubling though. You can use Zelda to draw a bunch of circles, and they always follow you, so you can lead the Geozards into her path where they'll die very quickly. If she's continually circling around, then she'll hit them repeatedly. The only catch with this whole thing is that rats will occasionally appear out of the walls to the far north, which makes using your Phantom Companion somewhat unpredictable, because if she gets stuck with a rat, then you're suddenly stuck with all the other enemies, and it's really frustrating. The only other thing to watch out for is to either be in the middle or at the very bottom right corner of the map once you defeat the last enemy in this room, and that'll make sense here in a little bit. So once you've finished off the last enemy, a regular phantom will appear in each corner. So if you're standing in the middle, they won't see you when they patrol around, but if they do see you, it's much easier to lure them around if you have the blocks in the way, which is why I recommended against destroying them earlier. Now the one part of this that makes it really hard is if Zelda gets stuck with a rat near her, because she can't possess another phantom until you've saved her. So you have to sneak past the phantoms and then go save her and then run all the way back to the safe zone. So if that happens, you're probably best luring all the phantoms to the bottom right corner, then waiting for them to leave, and as they're all going away, you can then rescue the princess and then claim the phantom. Now you can just run away and just attack a phantom, but it may be easier to simply use Zelda's Wrecker Phantom to plow through a whole bunch of them and stun them all at once. At this point you can continue on, but if you'd like to get some extra optional treasure, follow me to the right, hit the crystal switch here to stop the boulders, then circle around and go down the stairs. There's two puzzles here, but we could only do one of them before because we needed a regular phantom. Now that we have one, it's time to go get those chests. First have Zelda stand here, then go to the top right corner of the map and grab the arrow orb off the platform and bring it back. Set the arrow orb on the ground and draw a path from Zelda to the orb. With this type of phantom, she can pick it up and walk around with it. Go have her stand near the door on the left. With Link, go stand on the floor switch on the platform, which opens the door. Have Zelda go stand on the mark on the floor in the next room, then use the boomerang to redirect both of the nearby arrow orbs so that they're facing north towards the two eye switches. Make sure you have Zelda come back to this side before you step off the switch, otherwise you're locking her in there. It doesn't really matter much, as you'll see, because we're going to need to switch her phantom again. Next, go open the chest to claim your treasure. So before we leave, we're going to need to change phantoms again. You want to go to the bottom right corner of the map and capture the Wrecker Phantom here. With that, go back up the stairs in the middle to return to the middle room with the boulders. Although Zelda can push forward with a regular phantom, these ones are coming too fast, so she won't really make any progress. You'll need a Wrecker Phantom to get through this hallway with anything resembling speed. Unfortunately, this also means we're going to need a regular phantom once we get past this obstacle, so go back south, go back up the stairs to claim another one, then return here, which is kind of tedious, but it's a lot of free money. Alright, back here at long last. There's this eye switch on the right, which we obviously want to hit. It's one of our goals. You want to have Zelda go walk into the lava, then hop on her shield, and if she's a regular phantom, you should be able to have her move around while doing this. Go back onto dry land and go to the far north, and on your left you'll see some of those logs that we're now tall enough to reach. You want to whip across them to reach the higher platform on the left where there is an arrow orb. You want to have Zelda walk through the lava and go just below this platform, then pick up the arrow orb with Link and hop onto her shield. Then have her walk as far south as possible so you can get on top of this platform on the bottom right. At the top of this area, you'll notice that there are two symbols on the floor. You want to place the orb on either one of them, just make sure it's facing to the right so it's pointing towards the eye switch we saw earlier. Next, have Zelda take you back to the logs so that you can reach that higher platform again. Alright, now move Zelda to the far left side of the room. Unfortunately, because this path is somewhat near that other orb that we just placed, it may lock onto it, so sometimes you have to do this repeatedly, and other times it's not an issue at all, but try and circle around it and go to the very far left where there is another arrow orb on a platform near the stairs. Once you've grabbed it, have Zelda stand on the southern left platform on top of the symbols on the floor. Use the boomerang to rotate the arrow orb until it's facing left. At long last, shoot the orb on the right to temporarily remove the barrier on the left. Then shoot the other orb to hit the eye switch, which unlocks the door. We're not out of the woods just yet. Unfortunately, you cannot jump on Zelda's shield while she's holding something, and there isn't a way to, order her to drop the orb. You want to move both of your characters to the far right by drawing a path with Zelda, and then having Link use the logs to get back to solid land. Once they're both arrived, simply hit Zelda with your sword or one of your other items to make her drop the orb. Now you can get on her shield. Okay, so Zelda can't walk on sand, and Link can't walk through fire, so send Zelda through the fire to the north and circle around to meet her. Stock up on arrows here, then send Zelda through the flames to pick up the electrified key. This means that we can't pick up that key with Link at all. And as we've come to expect, though, this thing causes the key masters to appear, and it's a little more complex to keep them away from the princess than a lot of puzzles we've done before. For this first part, I recommend you just have Zelda following you. You can just take out the key masters with many different weapons, but the bow is probably the most effective one yet. It's ranged, it's very quick, and it only takes 2 hits. At this corner, quickly move Zelda north before this one reappears, otherwise you'll spawn right on top of you and then you'll lose your key that way. This is the hard part. You want to position Link just past the sand, and there's basically 3 ways to do this. The first is to kill the key masters, and then have Zelda race to the end, which is effective, but they could reappear in the midst of this, so that's kind of scary. The second idea is to switch back and forth between Zelda and Link. You want to inch your way forward once you've killed the first one, and then kill the second one, and then have her go forward for the final stretch. This is probably the most time-consuming method, but I also think it's the most dangerous because they could reappear on top of you, but also, if you move too close to the second one, then it will start coming after you before you're ready, so that's also kind of scary as well. Now the third method, which is what I did here, is to draw a path for Zelda ahead of time, and as you saw me here, I actually made her path to zigzag back and forth initially so that she took a longer path. This gave me more time to shoot them. I think this is overall the easiest, but you may want to wait until the one that's patrolling on the left side is moving away from her before you set down your wind-up toy. Now before we leave this area, you should smash some of the glass acorns to stock up on arrows. Then go up the stairs, and you can fill up your hearts real quick, then attack the double doors with Zelda to access the stairs, and get an optional blue portal so that you can get some potions or whatnot. Alright, so it's time to go reclaim Zelda's body. That's the end of this video, people, so join me for the next one, and I will show you how to defeat the boss.